Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Growing Older with Enthusiasm with Dr. Ron Kaiser. Dr. Ron, how are you? Thanks for stopping by again.
Doing great. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to another interesting guest today.
Yes, and our guest today is Karen Truman, Dr. Karen Truman, and she is the founder of 501c Dementia Caregiver Resources. And how are you, Karen? And
I am
we're excited
great.
to talk to you today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Yeah, I've been doing this work for, I like to tell people, over 50 years. I started when I was really, really short, growing up. So it's just, it's been a lifelong thing. Started with my grandmother, mother, aunts, uncles, and now I have a mother-in-law who has a form of dementia. And
Wow.
it's just been a very long journey. So I'll talk about my book later, but I also facilitate a lot of support groups for families. I've facilitated well over 5,000 support groups. I was a Huntington social worker at the University of South Florida. And I also train administrator wannabes for assisted living facilities in Florida. I'm a core trainer, which is approved through the ACA, which is the Agency for Healthcare Administration. And I also write my own curriculum for Alzheimer's trainings, which I do all over the state, and I do a lot of them on Zoom now with COVID. Of course, we had to switch from live trainings mostly to Zoom trainings. So it's a journey. I love it. I love what I do. It's not work. So
That's wonderful. And essentially, are they caregivers for people in facilities or aging in place,
yeah,
or?
these are professionals. These are who I train are the professionals, the CNAs, the nurses, the administrators, the pharmacy. I train a lot of pharmacies. I train the pharmacists. I train anybody that works in the long-term care industry. And since we have close to 3,000 assisted livings in Florida, and I'm at in Pinellas County, we have almost 300 assisted living buildings, and it's a mandatory training. So they have to have the Alzheimer's training of whether they're home health, assisted living, skilled nursing home, hospice, or adult daycare. So I do all of the above. So, and have for over 25 years.
How do they, in your training, do you help them identify if they are getting forms of it at a certain point?
Well, what the number one thing, Neil, is that there's so many different kinds of dementia, and what I try to do is send people to the right place. Where do we find out what, if the doctor writes down dementia, I tell my families to find a new doctor. Because it's like, if you wrote down cancer, what's the first thing you're going to say to the doctor? What kind of cancer, right? Okay. So if the doctor just writes down dementia, that's just so general, we can't even go there. So there, is it Alzheimer's? Is it Parkinson's? Is it Lewy body? Is it a head injury? CTE. We just witnessed that with the football player that was just recently hurt, and was it an underlying condition? Is it vascular? Is it something very rare? We have a lot of people that have rarer diseases, and it's very important to find out what the exact cause is. And then after I do all that, I send them to the brain bank program. Because we in Florida, especially, we have brain bank. I took her to USF, to the University of South Florida in Tampa in 1992 to get a proper diagnosis. Her doctor knew nothing about this stuff. And then when she passed away 22 years ago, 2000, I had her brain autopsied with the Florida Brain Bank to find out whether was it really just Alzheimer's or was it a combination. All of my Huntington's brains went to Harvard and Stanford. All the CTE brains go to Boston University. So it's really important for research and how that all comes about. So
I'll have to definitely connect you, Dr. Karen, to one of my clients who's a concussion doctor. He's come up with treatments in form of reversing CTE and concussions. He's just amazing. I'm hoping, I'm trying, and that he gets involved in dementia and Alzheimer's at one point in time as well. He's created this just
Absolutely.
unbelievable program for sure. All right,
Oh,
Dr.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, for sure.
I love, and just as a side note, I used to work long time ago with the Chicago Bears and
Oh,
with
really?
the with the Super Bowl Bears. Yeah. And don't ask, but anyway, but one of my guys, Dave Dewerson, number 22, was the one that committed suicide at age 50 because of the CTE. And we see so much of that in the movie Concussion, of course. That's another one
I'm so
too.
glad what Dr. Charles Simkovich has been able to bring in research and study. It's going to change things. It's going to change things dramatically. And again, he has this unbelievable cure with these patients that have reversed concussions that I'm hoping it goes to Alzheimer's and dementia. Because, right, Dr. Ron, because what happens is, how he's 85, by the way, Dr. Karen, that Dr. Ron's 85 years old. And
What?
yeah, he's 85. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Dr. Ron, how do you keep, your brain active so much, Dr. Ron? I know you talk about that in your book too.
I do.
No,
One of the things,
I know, Karen, I was asking Dr. Ron, then you go to your question.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go, Dr. Ron. Yeah.
I think, obviously genetics do play a role. I think any advice that anybody gives has to account for the fact that it isn't going to help a certain percentage of people, but you want to be able to do the four, what I call the non-negotiable four, of keeping the brain active, involved, reading, things of that nature, good nutrition, what I call owning your body through exercise, sleep, proper sleep, meditation, so on, and social connectedness. And I think, the combination of the four, I think, is your best bet for trying to forestall and hopefully be able to outlive, the changes in your brain. But I'm wondering,
Absolutely.
just in terms of the training that you provide, Dr. Karen, is because you talked about pharmacists and CNAs, and it would seem like it's different kinds of training. I'm just kind of wondering, what does a pharmacist need that's more
The
specialized?
pharmacy, pharmacists, we have long-term care specific pharmacies here in Florida. All they do is service assisted living buildings or skilled nursing homes or whatever. I also work with a statewide IV pharmacy who go into homes, they go into nursing homes, they work with special needs people. So they want all of their staff trained, no matter if they're doctor of pharmacology or a nurse, IV specialist or whatever. They're very much on that cutting edge, if you will. So it just, and everybody needs it. And plus, with my support groups, they love my trainings too, because I do special symposiums and different events like that, to bring awareness, and it really makes a big difference. So but one of the things that we like to do every single day is blueberries. Blueberries are the little scrubber of the brains that keeps those neurons fired up. The other thing is flossing. Flossing is king. Most of our residents never floss. So by the time they were in their 40s and 50s, they actually had false teeth because they didn't know to floss. Okay, so where does that plaque go? Plaque is starting right here. It can go up or down, head or heart. Which one? Pick your poison. So if you get those teeth cleaned, but 90% of our facilities don't have a mobile dentist. They don't have people coming in. So it's very important. Those teeth are really important. So flossing, blueberries, do your games on your phone. That's going to keep those neurons fired up. Okay. So a lot of firing up on there. So keep active, keep the social life going on, and do a clean, healthy lifestyle, and go to bed and get up at the same time 7 days a week. I have been doing that for 30 years. I never need an alarm clock ever. So, you know, if you go to bed and get up and do the same things pretty much the same way, you know, it's gonna be a lot healthier. Turn that TV off in the bedroom. Don't have anything on at night. You need those 8 hours. And you need it dark and quiet in there. So I have my book. Should I talk about that at all?
Oh yeah,
Or,
we can definitely get to the book in a second, Karen.
oh, okay.
We'll go to that question right now. I guess we'll go with that question. Why did you write the book, and tell us about it? Yeah.
Well, I wrote the book many years ago. I started out with a pamphlet, if you will, probably like 15 pages or so. And then then after I met my wonderful husband, Jeff, on eHarmony, who's a big fan of wrestling, by the way, he wants to know about face or heel for, for you, Neil.
Oh, really? Oh, you want to
Yeah.
know about it? Oh, hey, we'll definitely have to talk off. I'm already got one connection. So, what were you asking the questions? I thought Ron was. What question you have for me for wrestling? Dr. Ron, do you ever ask me these questions about wrestling? So, wow, she turned the tables on me. What was your question about me and wrestling? When I did.
Yeah, he wants to know if you were a face or a heel.
Oh, I was both baby face and heel.
Okay.
I like it. So there you
he,
go.
he's been following it since the 60s. So
Oh,
he's
okay. So I love hearing Baby Six and Hill. You know, I was The Rock wore my knee pads in '95 before he became The Rock, and you know, I roomed with the Headbangers. If he's a fan of the Headbangers, and beat Jerry the King Lawler in the Mid South Coliseum. So there you
he's
go.
shaking his head. Yeah,
Okay,
he knows all.
good. All right.
All right, sorry.
But that's okay. I love it. We're back and forth. So you wrote that book, and what people gain from reading this book?
People gain a lot. They know what to do. They know how to get a proper diagnosis. They know what doctors
Gonna
to
tell
go
us
see.
before you
I'm
go
sorry.
too far, are you gonna tell us the name of it?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, you can't even see it on
You
here. It
can't see
won't
it.
show.
It's
It
not
won't show up.
not
Okay,
very
it's the Dementia Caregivers Little Book of Hope. It's we have it basic on our website. All the memory disorder clinics and around here carry it. It was an NIH pick at one time. I have we've had oh gosh, we handed all my facilities, my elder law attorneys, all different things. That's the other thing that's really important in this whole disease, is to make sure that the person goes to see an elder law attorney before it's too late, because you need to be how old? Are you guys over age 18? I'm teasing you. Okay, so do you have your durable power of attorney, your healthcare surrogate, your living will? Those are all very important documents before this person goes around the bend, if you will. And a lot of people don't know that or don't get there. So those are some things to think about. Okay, but the Dementia Caregivers Little Book of Hope, available on our website, you know, dementiacaregiverresources.org. And if you don't see a flamingo, then you're not in the right place. Okay, because everything we have is flamingos. And the reason for that, not only do we live in Florida, but if you see a flamingo, you always see it on one leg, right? Usually standing on one leg. And I always tell my caregivers they have to stand on one leg once in a while to remind themselves to take a break, because the flamingo is resting at that point. So, and our motto on our whole, excuse me, on our whole journey is light for the journey, courage for the soul, because they're going to need a whole lot of courage for this disease process. That's for sure. Okay.
And your goal is to improve quality of life, or delay the process, or what is the objective
The
of
goal
the
is to give
caregiver?
education, to give insight, to figure out, you know, what not to say to somebody. You know, if they repeat themselves, are you going to tell them, oh, you just asked me that for the 13th time, mom? You know, you can't do that, because those neurons aren't connecting anymore. They're gone. So you know, it's really hard for caregivers to understand the behaviors, and you know, how to go to the hospital for a wonderful ER visit, and you know, how to take care of themselves, how to find the right resource. And veterans, I work completely with a lot of veteran service offices, and you need to make sure it's the veteran service office, not the VA hospitals, because the VA hospitals are about medical care. We want the dollars. How do you care for somebody, because it's an expensive disease? Okay. And then I go into the facilities. I do the support groups for an awful lot of facilities in our county, everywhere, do special talks, special events, book signings, you know, all those different things. And I do trainings for a lot of facilities that are dementia specific, or that have, everybody has dementia in some form. You know, we all forget where we parked our car in the Walmart lot, you know, that's so where'd I put my keys? So those are just some thoughts for you.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
any other questions, Dr. Ron, for Karen?
I think the only thought, you mentioned your website. I don't know if, just like you didn't mention the title of your book, I want to make sure we don't get out of here without people knowing how to be in touch with you.
Absolutely. Well, the Dementia Caregivers Little Book of Hope is the book, and our website is DCR, Dementia Caregiver Resources.org. Okay, and those are a couple of things. You know, they can visit our website. We have all our newsletters. We do a monthly newsletter. They can get, that's free. I can add them to the e-list, you know, whatever it takes. We're happy to help people.
And they don't have to be in Florida to be in touch.
Oh no, oh no. We've sent our book even to Australia, to Germany. I mean, we, you know, as long as they can read English, you know. But we have an awful lot, and we have resource information. We have tons of stuff. So whatever a caregiver needs, we're there. We've been doing this a very long time.
Well, I have
Okay.
another great show for you to come on. One of my clients, caregiver Dave Nasani, he has a caregiver show that you'd be a great guest on, and what great information for sure. And I think it makes you think about is how can we find a cure? Is there a chance for a cure? What are your thoughts?
Wow. I think the best thing right now is prevention. There's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of genetics involved on some of these diseases, and yeah, smoking, alcohol abuse, you know, drugs, you know, those kind of things are not good. The unhealthy lifestyle, if we will. But there's a lot of other things that can, you know, maybe they had a head injury, but their little brother hit them upside the head when they were a child. Well, that can morph into something much later. They're also looking at the especially the veterans who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They're looking at that, because it actually, if you know, if something a bomb hits or whatever, the guns go off, that actually shifts the brain, and that damages it. So there's an awful lot of that going on right now. So Lewy body is the big one right now. Lewy body is number 2. I've worked with the Lewy Body Dementia Association for, I don't know, at least 10, 12 years now. They're based in the Atlanta area. But they are right on the cutting edge. They're amazing. And I always send my families there, because it's the number 2 form of dementia that nobody ever heard of. And those are the bad boys. Those are the ones that are going to get Baker acted. Those are, are you familiar with the Baker Act?
Are you, Dr. Ron? I am not.
Okay, the Baker Act is when somebody is a danger to themselves or to another. Okay, so, and they call it different things in different states, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a different.
Okay,
different
so
thing.
we have a lot of that, because we might have somebody that is you know, that is acting out at home. I just had this case just last week. One of my caregivers called me up. She said, "Oh my God, Karen, I don't know what to do." She said, "My husband pushed me down." And she said he'd never do that. But in his anger, in his moment, and she had to Baker Act him, and now he's going to be placed in a facility. He's 67 years old.
Oh my God.
And, you know, it's very hard. You know, my Huntington's, we had people that were in their 30s and 40s. The youngest one we ever diagnosed was still in the womb, because it's inherited. So she won't see 10. She would get the juvenile form of Huntington's. So I trained all over the state with Huntington's and spoke at national conventions for Huntington's. So I'm a tired woman.
Well, you're impressive beyond belief. Again, website one more time.
website is www.dementiacaregiverresources.org. Okay.
That's
Okay.
Great
Sounds good.
talking with you.
great talking with you as well.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm
Ah.
excited. Yeah, you need to, if you're off for a minute, my husband will talk to you. If you're off and
Oh,
he
well,
can
we'll
talk
see. We'll see. I wanna
another day.
connect you guys. We're going to definitely connect on other things. You're listening
Yeah.
and watching the Neil Haley Show and growing older with enthusiasm, guys. Take care.